Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, the host of The Wow Within, and I was joined by Susan Drayton, who was talking about the books that she has previously written, and now she's working on book 3. And she started writing her books because she wanted to start to tell a story in a little bit of a different creative way. And she is an artist across many canvases. She's a writer, she's an actual artist when it comes to either drawing or painting. She refinishes furniture. She does all of these different things on different mediums. And she is an absolutely talented artist and writer. And she was able to combine all the things that she does when it comes to drawing. She created the cover of her book and then also wrote her stories and wrote them in a way of teaching a lesson. And I thought that that was really beautiful. I love the fact that, she finally started to lean in and listen to herself and start to tell a story so she could pass it on to other people. And when I start thinking about writing, I start thinking about my own personal journey, something that I wanted to do ever since I was a kid. I absolutely love reading and writing, and I love biographies, autobiographies. I love poetry, and it's something that I always was so passionate about. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a writer. And I may have told this story before, but I like to talk about it because it's what got me to where I am today. And I was in high school and I took a college poetry class, and I had the coolest poetry teacher. And he taught me how to, actually do the spoken word and be able to tell a story from a different place. And I was so inspired by him. And when I was in high school, not only did I take that class, but I also took a lot of writing classes, took advanced classes. So, I think like I'm at least a good writer. I'm getting good grades. And I remember looking at my teacher. I think I was I was a junior in high school, so in 11th grade. And I remember looking at her and saying, I really want to be a writer. And she looked at me and she was like, I just don't think that's going to be part of your journey. And I don't remember the exact words that she said, but like it shut me down. And I was like, what, here this woman is an advanced English teacher. She knows what she's talking about. I'm probably not going to be a writer. And I felt like at that moment, I was like, all right, she's telling me that this isn't one of my skills. I knew math was my skill. I knew I was good at art. And so I was like, I'm going to lean a little bit more into the things that I'm more creative with. And so I leaned into the art sector. I leaned into photography. I leaned into the things that I was encouraged to do, right? I wasn't encouraged to write. I read a lot, but I wasn't encouraged to write. And I felt discouraged. So I kind of put it to the back burner a little bit. And right after high school, I started working for a publishing company as a photographer, and I loved it. I got to meet some really high profile people. I got to take some really cool pictures. And I remember telling, the editor and the owner of the publishing company, I had a passion for writing. I showed him some of my writing, and he's like, like, I don't know if you're ever going to really be a writer. Like, your work isn't super strong, but like, your photography work is really great. And I took that with, I didn't take it with a grain of salt. I took it with, wow, you know what? I've been told by several people that I'm probably not going to be a great writer. And, that's just something that's not in my cards. And even though it was something that I was so passionate about, I wrote a lot, but I stopped sharing my stories with people. I stopped sharing my work with people and said, you know what, maybe just journaling is what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's okay. I didn't have this unbelievable passion to become a writer. I had a desire to be a writer, and it's something that, when someone's like, what's something secretly that you've always wanted to do? And for me, it was like, I want to be a good writer. Like that's what I truly want to do. And I was very discouraged. So I never really shared any of my work. I also wrote a lot of poetry, and I never shared any of my poetry. And I just never felt that, I never felt that it was going to be good enough. So if I kept it to myself and I just didn't really say anything, no one would ever have to see it. And it was something that I felt was good enough for a long time. But at the same time, it was something that always just kind of lingered in the background, like, oh, if some people want to be an astronaut, I want to be a writer. And as time kind of went on and I started getting older, I started writing more, like journaling. I started writing more poetry. I I started going through all, we've talked in other episodes about my own healing journey, my heart condition, and all of those things. And I wrote a lot during a lot of that previous heartache, other people telling me their stories. I would continue to write. And I finally got into a point in my life where I'm working on self-discovery and working in a place of, who am I? What do I want to be? I can be anything that I want to be. That's what I tell people. You can do anything that you want to do. I got into a point of my life where I am the person who encourages other people to do the things that they want to do. And, you know, a client came to me a few years ago and was like, when are you going to listen to your own advice? And, I've told this story in different places, and it really hit me. I'm like, what is she talking about? She's like, you give great advice, but you do not listen to your own advice. There are so many things that you want to do and you don't do them because you are still a people pleaser. And I'm like, who does she think she is? Right? Anyone who's heard part of the story before would know. I'm like, who does she think she is? I was very upset. I told her I was upset with her. And, it was funny. We talked yesterday on the phone, and I always laugh at how our conversations go because she's so brutally honest sometimes. And I'm like, how did you say that to me? And now when she says stuff to me, I feel like it's the way that I respond is very differently, because she has really helped me to own my voice. And sometimes it's just somebody else telling us, hey, you got to listen to yourself. And it was through that advice that I started really reflecting on what it was that I wanted to do. And I'm like, I've always wanted to write. I've always wanted to start a publishing company. And so I took a lot of the work that I had. I had, hundreds and hundreds of poems, but I had about 100, just over 100 poems that I genuinely really, really liked. And so I reached out to a friend, and I said, who's a publisher, and I said, listen, I have this idea. I think I want to publish a poetry book. And she's like, out of all things, like that's what you want to do. You want to publish a poetry book? I was like, yes, because that is the rawest form of me. That is part of my story without me telling a story, and they can be interpreted, and, we can see if people like them. And, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. Like, I am showing this person who has never seen my work. And I'm like, what do you think? And she's like, it doesn't matter what I think. I'm like, of course it matters what you think. And she's like, no, actually, it doesn't matter what I think. What matters is that you want to publish this book. And I think it's important that you publish it. And so it took a few months, but I stepped out of my comfort zone for the first time in my life. And I took my own advice, and I published my first book. Within months of me publishing my first book, another friend who's a publisher was like, hey, we're doing a collaboration book. Is this something you might be interested in? And I submitted my work, and it was accepted. And I was part of a second book. So in the first year that I published 2 books. And I started really taking some inventory on what I was doing in my life. And I realized that I was a consultant, and every single client of mine has asked me to help them write a book, and every single one. And whether, wherever they are on their different journey, whether it's, hey, I'm going to write this book, and in a few months I need your help, or, I have this idea, I want to write a book. And all of my clients had that one thing in common. And I don't think I ever actually thought anything of it other than I was helping them write their story. And I got to this point in my life where I was like, oh my God, I think this is what I should be doing. I think that part of my journey is helping other people tell their story. And so when I really started to realize, like, oh, I'm supposed to write my own stories, but I'm also supposed to help other people write their stories. And I got to this point in my life where I was like, I think I'm supposed to be a publisher. And, I was terrified to tell my friends who are publishers that this was something that I was going to do, but it's my lifelong dream to be a writer. And it's my dream and my purpose to help other people with their voice. There's millions of people in this world. It's okay if there's one extra publisher. We're different. The type of books that we do, the type of books that we're attracted to, the type of personality that we have, we're all very different people. And what I learned over the course of the past several years is take your own advice, do the things that you're passionate about. And when you start to do those things, other things start to follow. And so for me personally, it was starting that journey. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about where I was and where I'm going, and my own personal journey when it comes to storytelling. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.